UFC 244 was an intense card. The Rock was there to crown the BMF champion. Roberto Duran was there for the eventual winner, Jorge Masvidal, when he was taking on Nate Diaz. And on the prelims of UFC 244, you had a title eliminator at flyweight between Katlyn Chookagian and Jennifer Maia. Yes, you heard that right, a couple of years ago. And now we have the rematch, the long-awaited rematch, and both of these fighters have had title opportunities. Chookagian beats Maia by decision. She ends up in the opportunity against Shevchenko. She loses. Maia goes out there and fights Valentina Shevchenko. She also loses. She fared a little bit better. But in this fight, and in their first fight, both fighters fought to their strengths, I guess I should say. Well, one of them did. For Katlyn Chookagian, she wins the fight. The 29-28s are abound. I had a 30-27 Chookagian, but it was a lot of striking off the back foot. It was a lot of range. It was a lot of popping the jab out there. And for Jennifer Maia, it was that high tie stance that you know and love, but she wasn't really able to crash the distance and do a lot with it. She wasn't able to work in her very good jiu-jitsu and wrestling that we've seen in her fights, especially, you saw it against Shevchenko, but we've seen it in the past, especially when she was a champion over with Invicta. So now we have this rematch here where, if you look at the 5-on-in for both these fighters, Maia loses to Chookagian, beats Joanne Wood, loses to Shevchenko, beats Jessica Eye. For Chookagian, she had that fight 6 fights ago against Maia, so there's been a lot more fights. Loses to Shevchenko, beats a Shevchenko and Antonina, loses to Andrade, the old body shot, beats Cynthia Calvillo, and beats Viviane Araújo. So it is a really tricky one because, again, you don't want to look back at a fight and go, oh, well, the rematch is going to go the same way. But it's a weird one. It really is.
It is, because both fighters haven't made, like, crazy adjustments since their original fight. I know a lot of the times, for instance, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, 1-2. Not really as much 2-3 because you realize what versions we were getting after the second fight. But so much time had passed in between their first and second fight, and they had just done so much throughout their careers that you realized, okay, it's going to be different this time around. We have different versions of the same fighters. I don't really think we're getting that this time around, if I'm being completely honest. And I know we like to come on here and try to add new wrinkles and say what we think is going to be different, but I don't see many worlds where this fight results in anything other than Katlyn Chookagian effectively striking off of her back foot and Jennifer Maia just having a really, really hard time closing that distance. Because for Maia, I know a lot of people like to bring up, oh, she has good Muay Thai. It's not great. And
there's just not a lot of volume.
Exactly. And she's not great at cutting off the cage either. I think that's a really big issue with her game, because if she was able to corner her opponent a little bit more, I think she would at least feel more comfortable unloading with her strikes. But you're right. She looks like a natural Muay Thai fighter, just like a silhouette of her, but she doesn't really put it into practice all that well. And when you do talk about her grappling, it's phenomenal. Like, if she gets one takedown on Katlyn Chookagian, she's at least going to win the round. A submission might be a little much because Chookagian does have very underrated grappling in her own right, but Maia has at least the grappling to ride out the rest of the round on top, get ground and pound, threaten with submissions, at least do enough effective grappling to definitely win the round. So I like Maia in that aspect, but even go back to the Valentina Shevchenko fight, and I know I harped on this for a while. Maia got a takedown because Valentina tripped. Now, was she really good in the top position? You're the one who brought this up, not me. She got it because she tripped, and then she was really good in that top position. I just don't think Maia has the wrestling to get a lot of fighters to the mat and then employ her best skill. And she's not like Brian Ortega, to where Brian Ortega has amazing stand-up and amazing jiu-jitsu. So it kind of makes you choose how you want to get beat. Like, that's the best version of Brian Ortega. I hurt you bad enough to where you shoot on me, then I submit you. For Jennifer Maia, her game isn't really set up that way. It's, I'm gonna heavily volume strike with you, at least try to, and then if I can't, just try to move forward and shoot some panic takedowns. Like, if Maia had, I don't know, 20% better wrestling, then I'd like her a lot more in this matchup to at least secure enough takedowns to ride out time on top. I just don't think we're going to see Maia in a lot of her best positions this fight.
For Chookagian, it hasn't been great takedown defense over the entire UFC run, and if I can pick out who's taken her down, Lauren Murphy took her down, Liz Carmouche took her down, who else? Mara Romero Barella took her down, Alexis Davis took her down, Joanne Wood took her down, Jennifer Maia took her down, and so on and so forth. Andrade took her down, Calvillo took her down, and so did Araújo. But yeah, she won the majority of those fights. So that really is a tricky thing. And again, Chookagian throws so much volume to where Maia, she really just has to be like, I don't know, honey and coffee. I don't know. Like
Not
you got to
mix
be
as
like
well as you
glue
want.
on paper. I don't know, but you have to be really, really there in the pocket, crashing distance, and not giving Chookagian the benefit of that reach advantage that she brings into every fight. So the odds for this one, Chookagian a -173 favorite right now. Araujo +145 or thereabouts. Tapology votes for this one. 1,481 total votes, 82% Chookagian, 91% by decision. For the 18% that I'm Maia, 68% by decision. I think Chookagian's going to win again in the rematch. I just have a really hard time seeing Maia implementing that powerful Maia game that's out there against Chookagian again.
So I guess I'll give mine. I'll pass it off to you because it's spur of the moment. What wrinkle do you think Maia could add to make this fight different? Because if I was in Maia's corner, I would at least try to get her to clinch a little bit more. Because at least there's times in the fight where, okay, I'm not on the receiving end of the strikes, and at least it's somewhat of a 50-50 to where I can work in my wrestling. But again, it just constantly brings me back to the first point. Have either one of these fighters evolved that much since their first fight? I don't believe so.
Chookagian showed the good offensive wrestling against Shevchenko, which we've seen time and again. That's a big flaw. I mean, look at it against Andrea Lee or Casey O'Neill. But Chookagian did a great job in that one. But other than that, it's been pretty much the same thing. So I have a hard time really seeing any giant leaps or adds or anything that I can add to this one since their first fight at UFC 244. So both of us going with the American in this one, Katlyn Chookagian, to get the win. If you have Jennifer Maia, you let us know down below in the comments section. And if you have Chookagian too, you let us know. Big time fight in our main event. Calvin Kattar taking on Giga Chikadze. You're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. As we always say, let's get into it.